All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you know what time it is. If it is 5 o'clock, then what time is it? It's glow time. We have a really special glow show for you all today, so I hope you're getting ready. We're going to give a couple of minutes to get everybody in. Y'all, I went in my bag for this one. Yes, we are dealing with a real light worker today, someone who I have witnessed in the flesh help bring things into reality with manifesting. I cannot say enough about this guest, but we are going to get it real lit, real fast in here. So as you're coming in, please make sure you throw up your glowers. Y'all, I hope y'all enjoyed that as much as I did, because I promise y'all I was about to play that back. Y'all, I remember just the feeling when that song broke. It was bananas. And that's why I said, you know what? This was going to be the perfect intro song for my girl, because when I say, give me the light, when I would say, give me a miracle, God, literally, she would appear and it would be just like that. I always, as you guys, as you know what I do, my glowers know what I do. Yes, and I see as we're coming in, please everyone throw your lighters up. Light your light, glow, throw that glow. We have Miss 80. How are you, beautiful? Thank you. I'm here. We have our consistent glower, Asia. It's just almost about time we made you a moderator. I'm just saying, sis. It's about time. We also have Brother Neo, thank you, moderating. We have Brother CK just coming into the building. And not to mention our very first entrance into the room today was none other than Mr. CER. You are becoming a regular. It might be time to rinse you up so you can light your light. We'll talk about that. Definitely let me know. But we do have something special coming for you. So because you were our first glower in today, so thank you so much. Chris, the gameplay guy, how are you? Thank you so much for throwing your glow up, brother CK. So without any further ado, I'm going to bring someone in the flesh who I have seen do what she says she can do when it comes to, being a light worker. I met Truth about almost 4 years ago now. I met her about 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago. And just for chance, I was registering people to be a part of this particular organization because they were going to have elections soon. So at this time, I was already on the council, but I was running for another like local organization position, and I never met her. I never met her, and we were talking. She was telling me her background with development, with being a landowner, learning how to work and turn over apartment buildings. And we were just having such a cool, chill conversation. I just out of the blue said, "Hey, would you mind joining this organization? I'm running for treasurer of it." And she said, well, right now I have to go get, my kids their dinner, but, stop by later on this week and, we'll further discuss. Let me hear a little bit more about it. And, I just followed up on it because, I'm just like, well, shoot, what else I got to do? She said to stop by and follow up, right? So I stopped by and I followed up, and she just, she went ahead and did the registration, and it was just the ease and in the way our relationship built. It never felt like it was work. And I thought that was very interesting. So as our friendship did build, though, I began to find some very just odd consistencies, things that I could trust in her, and things that I was telling her that I wanted to have happen. Within a couple of days of telling her, they would be happening. And she never looked at me funny, like it's very weird to be a grown woman and you're telling, another grown woman, like kind of like all these, kind of dreams. And she's not laughing at me. And I was just like, wow, like that's amazing that she just, she's taking what I'm saying and she's really looking in my eyes and she's taking what I'm saying seriously. And that has always meant so much. But none other than this one time, I cannot tell you. So I have a summer camp. I had a summer camp. And this is my first year in 4 years not having my summer camp. Ooh, I miss it, y'all. So I had a summer camp, and she had been traveling all that summer. She had been traveling the whole summer, so she wasn't able to have her children be a part of the camp and that sort of thing. And so literally, she had texted me the morning of, and she said, "Hey, I'm going to be back in the town soon." And I was just like, okay. And that same day, I was doing a special event for the selling club because they had allowed us to bring in our group and sell for free. So I had bought pizzas and I was making my items because y'all know I do chef it up. I was making some items to treat the members of not only my summer camp, but also the selling club as well. And I was just like having to get all of this stuff back over to the selling club. And y'all know I do not drive. I do not drive. And so I was like, how am I going to make this happen? So I literally was in the checkout line, and behind me, who comes walking up? Truth. And I was floored. I was like, oh my gosh, like I know I haven't seen you all summer, but let's quickly hug. I got to get all this stuff over to the selling club. And I said, can you help me out? And she's like, yeah, she said, I knew you were in here. Like we had been texting, but she didn't know my location. I hadn't told her what was going on with the day. And she was just like, I felt your energy. Like I knew you were in here, and, I didn't know that you needed help, but I knew you were in here. Like I literally came right to your line. And so she took me to the selling club. Everything was great. Got that done. So we're starting to build, and we're spending even more time together. And I had started a cooking business. And so it just so happened, once again, another Friday, at the same store. And, when I was telling her about this cooking business, she was totally all for it and just super supportive, and was just like, yeah, when you get it up and running, I'm going to, I'm going to hire you too. Like I want to use your services. And we had just been that. We had become that. Like we had just fed each other. We were feeding each other our dreams and, watching things blossom, but just being supportive, because sometimes you need that type of friend, right? And so we had often talked about manifestation. We had often talk about trusting the universe to give you what you need, right? She absolutely has always respected and understood my relationship with the Most High, with God, and with giving, myself to Him, submitting totally, becoming, totally celibate, and becoming more aware of the power even in that, okay? Because it teaches us that obedience is better than sacrifice, but there cannot be obedience without sacrifice. And so the fact that I have these type of really in-depth conversations with her, and she would never bat an eye. So I'm at the same store, and my card is not going through. My card is not going through, and I'm like, well, shoot, I know, direct deposit, I know the money is on there, but my card wasn't going through, and it was like a line. And I had all of this stuff. I was doing literally, I think it was either the second time I was doing like another, like a paid family cooking event. And I literally looked at that door and I said, God, bring somebody through that door that's going to be able to fix this. That's what I said. That's what I said. She can tell you that is what I said. And so I literally said that, and who comes walking in but truth? And I was just like, once again, I'm like waiting at her for the checkout line. And she's like, she comes over, she's calm. She's like, what's up? I said, I said, I don't know, my whole order isn't going in. Can you just pay for this? And let me call the bank and check to see what's going on, why, the rest of this, why my, it's not ringing up or what have you. And she said, well, what is it? And I was like, it's this. And she was like, okay, well, let's go ahead and, because there were other people in the line. She said, and so the cashier said, go ahead and just step out to the side. And I was like panicking. And she's like, no, it's cool. Like, everything is cool. Make your call. It's cool. So I make the call. It comes to find out that Sprint had double billed me. They had double billed me. So instead of me having, and I had about $200 worth of food. So instead of me having enough for the $200 worth of food, I had enough for like $50 of it, because Sprint had double billed me. So I said, listen, I'll pay you back the other 50. And we literally were back in the line, $200 worth of stuff. We're back in the line, and she's getting her card out. She's like, no, don't worry about it. It's fine. This is fine. We get to the front. The cashier said, don't worry about it. Like, she has out her card. I have out my card. I'm like, no. I was like, no, we can do this. And he's like, don't worry about it. And he was like, trust me, I know that this store can, $200 worth of food is not a big deal. And when I tell you, this has never happened to me before. Never happened to me before. And, I'm like getting teary-eyed, and she's like, go, you got to get to your, your event. And I was like, yeah, and I said, we're going to talk later. But, I was just like, I was so worried about him. I kept saying, what if he gets fired? I don't want him to get fired. Do you think, we should go back and still pay him the money? And she said, trust it. Everything that's supposed to happen is going to happen. And I was like, even him getting fired? And she's like, trust it. Maybe that's what you want. You never know, but trust that everything that's supposed to happen is supposed to happen. So moral of the story is trust the universe for everything. And also the good part of it is the gentleman did not get fired. So I want to say thank you if he is watching, because he is a subscriber. So thank you if you are watching today. I'm not going to give out the name of the store nor the person's name, just in case. But without further ado, I'm bringing my good friend, my sister, my fellow light worker to this stage. And I said, it's only right? Because this is the Glow Show. She's a light worker. It's only right that she is literally the first light worker I've ever bought to this platform on the panel, and to meet all of you all. So without further ado, my good friend, hailing from Miami, Florida, Truth.
Hi, everyone.
Hey,
Courtney,
sis.
hi. Can you just let me know?
How
Can
are
you hear me
you?
okay?
I can, yes. And I'm going to do what I said I was going to do. So
Sure.
I'll be jumping out shortly. But you are in great hands. I promise you, my glowers are in here. They're in the building. They're coming strong. So go ahead and do what you do.
Okay, thank you very much, Courtney. I love you and I miss you. I really appreciate you inviting me here. And hi, everybody. As she said, I'm Truth, and that was a really, really beautiful introduction. She's also been a powerful source of love and support in my life. The relationship has always been reciprocal. So, back to this light worker business. I don't know how many people here that are listening are familiar with the term, but I get a lot of people who ask me because it is something that I identify as. I sometimes will just say a life light. But in general, what I understand this to be, or how I would define a light worker, is someone who lights up the darkness so that others can help find their way. Their way to what? Their way back to themselves, their way to their higher selves, their way to their higher power. All of us have dark moments in life, and through the times where we're able to open up and reach for relief and to start to head in the right direction of reaching for something to aid us, other things come in. Every single thing in life is a channel, is a conduit for love, because everything is of that nature. It is of that essence in the first place. So all of these things are like malleable conduits of the love that is always trying to reach you. It's just ever waiting for that moment where we throw up our hands and say, I need you. I need help. I trust that something else is going to catch me because I can't seem to find my way out of whatever situations it is that we find ourselves in. So, light workers are service workers to humanity. A lot of other people might define a light worker as somebody who elevates all of the conscious collective, somebody who very deliberately, intently vibrates their being at such a high frequency that it's in great service not only to themselves, but the all, particularly humanity. So that's what we mean when we say light worker. I'm sure there's many of them in this room. There are millions of beings who are light workers. It's anybody truly who just has love in their heart enough for themselves that it's gotten to the point where it's now overflowing out unto other people that they encounter. As you emanate this naturally, you build up on it so well that you have so much that you don't even need it. And the best thing you can think of is just spreading it out onto whoever you encounter. So I'm the kind of person, I've always been somebody, I guess you could say, doesn't walk the main path. What is that saying? Walks the path less traveled, or I go off the beaten path. I've kind of always done my own thing, always walking in my own sense of connection to what I understand to be my higher power. I always would find that when I search for things outside of myself, the fulfillment, the assurance, a lot of things I was seeking, the light would elude me, and wasn't until I realized that I can rendezvous with my higher power within myself at any time that I started to really have leaps and bounds in every area of my life, but particularly in what I define success, which is happiness. And I learned very young in life that I studied metaphysics, right? Very, very young. And I learned that really happiness is the key to everything. And it's funny because most people, it eludes them because they're kind of searching for it instead of going into their reserves, their inner spring. Um, and sometimes, we're all going to have ups and downs. So it's not necessarily always easy to do, but you can train yourself to be one who, whether good things come or bad things come, you have a baseline that is overall well-being. So it's going to fluctuate. It's supposed to fluctuate. That's part of the joy of expansion. But I don't believe that we're supposed to come and incarnate into this particular realm to struggle to necessarily earn things. However, struggle is an option, and there's nothing wrong with it. There's no right or wrong. It's just, why not utilize struggle as a quick fall that you get back up from, as opposed to an ongoing life experience. Instead of being people who are consistently having a hard time, like most of us have experienced at one point or another, or for the majority of our lives. And then you may have a peak moment, and then all the fears set in and the worries that, you know, the shoe is going to drop and the other shoe is going to drop and you're going to fall and everything that you're working for is going to collapse. You know, we tend to train ourselves that that's the way it has to be, as well as a lot of parts of society that do that. So you have to take it upon yourself to be your own advocate for joy, for being able to sustain yourself. And the best way that I know how to do that is to stay connected as consistently as possible with your higher power, whatever that means to you, however you do it. For me, it's going within myself. So I speak but a lot of the stuff that I've learned about manifestation with Courtney, because I live a life uncommon. And it was people who I reached out to that helped me further be able to utilize a lot of these wisdoms that I would gain when I would sit in meditation. And as I sought different masters of various areas of life, I found that they would always have this common denominator of understanding divine law, metaphysics, energy, whether they understood it through religion or they understood it through science or they understood it through whatever life experience that they may have just had, and or has been a consistent finding that they have. I notice, or whether they're doing it deliberately or by default. You know, it doesn't matter if the celebrity or the happy person or the successful person by any different way has that thing that other people seem not to have. It doesn't matter if they realize that they had that thing, but that thing always is a particular energy. So it does not to say that you necessarily even have to understand this, but it is greatly beneficial when you do. So as I became able to truly understand a lot of the wisdom that was coming to or through me when I would sit in the silence of my higher self, it was all the dots were starting to connect, and my life wasn't like everybody else's around me. I didn't have a lot of the same struggle. I've gone in and out of utilizing these wisdoms, so I've been humbled plenty and brought back to full circle to realizing, hey, when I walk the light of love and I do the things that my inner being calls me to do, regardless of how much it goes against the societal norm, I always find that there's an ease and flow. You know, it's like you kind of surrender to the stream of life that is ever present, ever flowing, that we are otherwise resisting when we don't decide to just give up our hands and say, okay, I did my part. I trust in life. I trust in God. I trust in the universe to be a part of the gestation of the growth of whatever it is that I'm working on in any capacity. Of course, I most value happiness. So that's my biggest thing that I try to help people focus on. And the cool thing about the design of life is it is actually the happiness that brings things to you energetically. And that's what I'm trying to get to. That's what I help a lot of people with. I help them kind of understand it in the way I understand it through the eyes of metaphysics. So everything boils down to being energy. And this is one of my favorite topics that I can talk to people about all day long, because we tend to see things in a physical manner because that's the thing that we're trained to see. But you can train yourself to be one who feels their environment energetically, and you do this through your heart space. So we are all always doing it, but you can amplify your communication with that part of your higher being. Just like it, when I say we all have it, it's what you may refer to as your instincts, those gut feelings, the chills that you get. Sometimes you may know that somebody's calling, who's calling on your phone before you've seen the caller ID, or that feeling when you walk into a room and they say you can cut the tension with a knife, but you didn't know what was going on in there. But when you stepped in, your being is aware that there's a friction going on here. There's not a flow, when somebody's staring at you, a stranger out in public somewhere, and you kind of scan your surroundings and then you catch eyes with that person. But, how did you know that when they're standing behind you? This is that part of you that's inherently divine, that is always connected and available and accessible and truly who you are. We are all inherently divine beings of consciousness. And I really enjoy helping people remember who it is as such. So that's one of the big things that I do. I hold visions for people. I'll get to know someone. My life is so good thanks to all of the teachers I've had and these understandings, which is literally impossible to cover. That's why I'm kind of jumping all over the place. I tend not to script. I like to just kind of flow off the top of my heart. So I like to help people get re-enthusiastic about their lives, kind of like when you were a child and you were super present, excited, not only about the bigger events that were up and coming, like birthdays or whatever things that might have excited you, but also the little things. When you're a child, you seem to have that a little more, zest about life that society or lifestyle conditions out of you. I like to help a person wake back up to that part of themselves as kind of a pay it forward to the universe for keeping its word and being as good as it has been to me when I followed that. It's kind of like, imagine you got the key to the secret of life or something like that. If you figured it out, or you found that genie's lamp and you already accomplished the things that you wanted, you start to find service to self is no longer fulfilling once you get your self in order, and all you want to do is help others get there. It's kind of not fun without them. The best part about life for me is the relationships with myself, my higher self, my higher power, and all life forms, friends, family, strangers, humanity as a whole. Excuse me. So I'm really into alchemy. I never charge people for this service, but one thing that I do a lot for anybody that might be interested or in need of it, or know somebody who's in need of it, is I help people shift their energetic baseline by just having conversations like this with them. We'll get on the phone. I'll ask them a couple of questions about something they may feel blocked about, and then we will have a conversation and guide them to a new point of view around that same subject, dissolving it, because it's usually just a switch in perception that you ever need, and you'll find that things aren't ever really as scary as they seem once you can just kind of shift yourself into looking at it from another perspective, the outside looking in, or your higher self looking down, or however you want to see it. So I really enjoy doing that for people. It's something that Courtney and I spend a lot of our time doing, and we both find that it helps both of us. It helps where I tend to feel like everybody at all times is a student and a teacher. So when I'm offering what it is that's worked for me, because I don't claim to be a know-all, I just love to share what it is that I know for a fact works for me. Like I was saying, it worked so uncommonly well in my life that I can't help but want to spread the news. And it can actually be exhausting because a lot of people aren't ready to hear it, and it's right to honor their journey. And I had to learn to back off and not kind of try to ring the alarm so hard, and just let the people who are asking for it and ready for it to come to me. So I do this thing where when I'm having my constant dialogue with my higher power, I will ask for to be used for love. I will ask to see things through the eyes of love. And that is indeed how the days when Courtney was reaching out for assistance, on those were same days that I was available and find myself not needing to punch a clock, not needing to do things that the average person is doing, and I'm trying to fill my day up with things that fill my soul up. So I will say things also in my gratitude, as I said, to pay it forward, and I'll say, use me for what you'll use me for love. And then I'll find myself at somebody's service randomly. This is something everybody can do. It's not anything special. It's just I'm very grateful and love to pass it on. So that's kind of in a nutshell who I am and what I do. And I'm more than happy to help anybody that feels like they might be called to have a discussion. And yeah, I guess that's about it. So thank you for your time, guys. pretty sure you guys can still hear me. I'm not familiar with StreamYard, so just kind of exploring. Can't see the chat.
Knock, knock. Anybody home? Check, check. All right, I'm in here. Hello, everybody.
Hey, can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay. Something must be going on with my other mic. Truth, can you hear us okay?
Yeah, am I still? Can you still hear
Okay,
me?
perfect. Great. So I asked the question, but Neo came in, but I'm going to ask a really quick question because I'm going to let Neo have the floor with it. There are two of me's in, so I'm trying to do a backup mic just in case. But so my question is, you said a lot, and I definitely want to I want to become more trusting of being still. You know, I talked to you earlier about how I have trouble with that sometimes. What are some things I can do to feel like I'm working and still being able to kind of hone that quiet, hone that space? I definitely have started the prayer closet, and that literally has become like my inner house sanctuary. I sent you a video of it so you can see, like, it's a nice space that I can literally go into, and the prayer closet has been tremendous. But when I come out of it, I get that antsy feeling again. Like, I need to be doing some work. I got to be doing some work. And I feel like God is like, I got you, but I still feel like I got to be doing some work. How can I kind of quiet those anxious feelings? Because I don't like it, but at the same time, it's very hard for me to just sit still and rest. Because as you know, like, I'm so used to it. So what can you suggest for that? And then I'm going to rest my mic. I'm back on mute, and I'm going to let Brother Neo have the floor.
Oh boy, that's a tough one. It's not really tough. It's wasn't really expecting to get the whole plate right away. That
Wait,
antsy
no,
feeling.
that was a question for Truth, and then
Okay.
then you can have your time. I just wanted to get my question in first with her because I said I know that with both of you being in that same type of light working energy, I know that you guys are going to have a really in-depth conversation. So, Truth, did you hear that question okay?
Yeah, I did. For me personally, what I do when I feel stumped with anything is I start there and I give that very specific question up to what I consider to be my guidance. So I will just sit, whether I write it out or I speak it out through my heart and not my mouth. I will emanate and kind of meditate on the question. let it fully go, and then the answer will eventually come to you in one way or another, usually some type of aha, epiphany moment. And then in the meantime, while you're waiting for that really clear conviction to come through, you can still just busy yourself like you're doing with your was it prayer closet, with your inner work. Enjoy your, start having a different conversation with yourself around it, and say, I know that it is counterproductive to take action before I have lined up the energy. So I know the most productive thing I can be doing is this inner work, and getting myself amped, getting myself clear, getting myself aligned before I take action, or I am going to be taking much more action than needed. I'm going to have much more struggle, much more exhaustion, when I could instead leverage the power of first tending to the energy first. So my answers would be to ask your higher power, and then let it go and receive the answer in whatever way that it will come to you. In the meantime, busy yourself with a newer conversation around it. Start saying it backwards to yourself. Start, instead of saying, I struggle with sitting silent, even though that's true, but now that we've identified it, we don't dwell, we move on to starting to talk to ourselves differently, which would be, I can do this. So you would say, I can sit in silence and be patient, especially because I know that that's the most productive, efficient thing that I can be doing. And when I do take the action, it's going to be inspired action. It's not going to be the motivated push yourself. It's going to be life sweeping me up in the current, and I'm so excited to do what I have to do that nothing could stop me from doing it. It's worth taking the time to do that first. So just make your peace and get excited around it by shifting the paradigm. So that's what I would say.
I absolutely love that. And writing and making the vision board also has been such a help. And I know that those were some things that uh, you helped me see, to kind of busy myself and to writing those affirmations. But I love that, with just saying the opposite to yourself can get you right back into that spirit. And I need to practice it more. Because like I said, I mean, you know how I am. I'm so used to being busy. I was always going from one board to the programs, to the meetings. This has been really different. And then still getting blessed. Don't get me wrong, like still getting blessed, but I've been so so accustomed to working for those blessings I felt, and not realizing and trusting that God's going to bless you anyway, because you're doing your work. So with that being said, I'm coming out of the chat. Brother Neo, it is on you.
All right, I got it. Okay, what I'm getting is not just a matter of being antsy or needing to be busy. There is an anxiety there that I feel that maybe you haven't necessarily journaled, right? You haven't come to you haven't come to terms with this anxiety. It's probably giving you bad dreams and things of that nature. Unfinished business that you have running as a program in the back of your mind. Journaling and having your affirmations is always beneficial to try to figure out what these things are. Calling out to your higher power to give you guidance is always a good way to find that balance. But the one thing it doesn't do is answer the unsolved question. It does, like the question that's still running in the back of your mind. What did you leave unfinished? Right? Is what keeps giving you that anxiety every time you climb out of that prayer closet. rather than when you're in the prayer closet. When you're in the prayer closet, you're balanced, you're focused, you've got a thing to do, you have a task, and I believe where the issue is starting to rear its head. What is the difference between when you're in the closet and when you're not? Why are you comfortable in that setting? And why are you so anxious when you step out of it? Because obviously the overlaying problem isn't being solved while you're in the closet. It's right. So I'm not sure. I keep forgetting the name that I'm supposed to be. But all right, moving on to my second point is when you're journaling, what is it that you're journaling? This is kind of a private question. I don't really need a whole lot of details from you, but what is it that you're journaling? Are you journaling your dreams, or are you just right? What all is being included in this journal? It's a diary and not a planner, right? If you have if you're used to writing everything down in a planner, you're going to carry that over into your journal and start journaling everything like you're planning, throwing everything out of balance with your dream self. This is the two sides of your brain here competing with each other, the spiritual side, the creative side, the colorful side, with the structured, more planning, organizing side. Right? There's where you can start looking for your imbalances. And it's really hard to, it's really easy to miss too, because you can be creative and be fulfilling that part, but still not exactly filling your spiritual bank, right? That goes along with that spiritual economy that I was talking about earlier, right? What are you feeding into your spiritual side? What are you feeding into your structured side? Which wolf are you feeding, basically? Okay. Omega, you still there?
Yes, I'm here. I thought you had a question for Truth. That's why you were coming on the panel. Yeah, but to answer your question, I use the prayer journal for all of it. I literally put up scriptures. I put up dreams. I put up planner activities. Yeah, I usually use it for all of it.
Yeah. I don't need my tarot cards to figure that out.
Yeah. But yes, you have a question.
My question. I guess my question is not really a question, but I can form it into a question. Is more of when dealing with the spirit and the soul, right? That's where I consider to be the two different wolves of your being. Well, it's hard to put into words, because I dream about it all the time. But what's a good way to structure the language of metaphor in your dreams? Right? I'm not sure if that's a good question or not.
Dreams, like actual dreams when you're resting, or dreams like as in goals?
When you're resting dreams. Your brain is trying to communicate a message to you, but it's always in metaphor. What's a good way of translating the metaphor that your dreams are speaking to you in?
So like dream interpretation?
Yes.
So how I understand it, is when we are in our resting state. It is a rest. It truly is a spiritual thing where the being can just be the being and stop doing the doing. It can just be. It can rest. It can go to the higher frequencies, recuperate. Only to the degree, of course, that the human self believes that it can do, but it is kind of like a resting period. And how I have come to understand it from my guides when I came to them with this type of question, when I wanted to understand what I felt were the messages of my dreams, my guides would always tell me, it is, your dreams are always, they are also manifestations that the law of attraction and all of the laws of the universe at no time turn off, whether you are in a waking state or not. So the law of attraction is still just rendering to you that which you are emanating. So in those messages and those visions that you're receiving, it's usually just a visual expression of something that is about to happen, whether you fear it or you look excited, you're looking forward to it, or it's something that you don't see coming because you're actually creating it by default, by something that, a belief that you're not aware that you're still subscribed to, maybe a childhood trauma, for example. So for how I have come to understand it, they're just kind of for you to make sense out of, for every individual to make sense out of, and maybe a peer or something else in life, when you discuss it with them, will help you put the pieces together in a way that makes sense to you. But it is kind of for you to discern, because it is just a reflection. It's like, I see all of the world is an expression of your inner perceptions, and the dream state truly is no different. So it's usually just kind of an indicator of where you're vibrating in one way or another, whether it's a warning or an encouragement, a beckoning. That's how I personally come to understand it. But as you said, I would encourage that you continue to ask your higher self for guidance with clarity, and feeling really sure that you're understanding what it is, and just say, hey, I want to be more clear. I'm having these experiences, but I'm not having clarity on discerning them. What are you trying to tell me? Can we be a little more straight here? Like, I mean, I talk to my higher power like they're my personal friend. Like, I don't, not that it's any less reverent, it's just that much more real for me. But that's how I understand it.
That makes sense to me. I appreciate that. Uh, Mainly, I guess I was asking the question for, because I know that there's a lot of spiritual people in the audience that are pretty much going to watch this video later on.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I get that question a lot,
Mm-hmm.
in different ways. A lot of people have a hard time, like I was having, trying to put it into words that would make sense to get a good answer, right? And you hit the nail on the head, because trying to interpret your own dreams is definitely one of those things that can be misinterpreted, and it's often misinterpreted, um, especially for those that are not dabbling into the spiritual realm in the first place, that they're either locked into their spiritual belief, their biblical belief, and they'll probably see their dreams as being demonic when they're just trying to translate maybe a warning to them that maybe they're going down the wrong path, but then they see it the wrong way and they completely miss their own spirit's message to them that, hey, you're heading for danger. Simple stuff like that. I get those questions a lot, especially reading cards from people who are trying to avoid certain things about themselves, but don't have a clear understanding of what it is we are actually made of to begin with.
Right. Yeah. And it definitely can be misinterpreted. And I think that goes back to people searching outside of themselves as opposed to inside of themselves, and trusting and kind of looking at it as that's a message that I have to decipher, as opposed to that's a reflection of my own creation. Even
Right.
if the deliverer of it was of higher dimension in nature, it still can only possibly be your reflection. And they are helping to hold the light of that reflection, whether it is to warn you or to invite you and encourage you and entice you, or to wake you up to something that you need to be woken up for, to answer a question. But, it's the same thing that's happening in the waking hours. And perhaps encourage people that feel that they need to understand the message to not really put so much emphasis on that, as much as learning to cultivate their own awareness of self and their ability to dictate the trajectory of their future experiences by being deliberate and very intent on how they mold their present energy, because that is by far more beneficial to be focused on.
Right, right. Okay, which leads to my next question, which should be a lot easier than the last one. um, how do you feel about this new wave of awakened spiritual people, like
uh,
this new generation of people who coming into their own spirituality now?
So I absolutely love it and adore it. I'm excited about it. I'm surprised and delighted by it. I believe that, we choose a great deal about our lives, and I chose to incarnate through a very spiritual mother who raised me in these understandings, so that I would have I wouldn't be so conditioned away from it, because a lot of the current society is does that. So I was lucky enough to have a household that didn't do that, which gave me an advantage earlier on. And and
I'm
so
enjoying the buzzwords coming in that you're that you're dropping out. That I'm pretty sure are going to raise a lot more questions for those that are watching right now, especially when you said you chose who you decided to incarnate in.
yes.
That's a big one, and I hope people caught that one.
Yeah. I so I understand myself to be um who I am, as we all understand or don't understand ourselves to be who we are. And we're all on an ever understanding, an ever quest to know ourselves better as and of God. So on my particular journey, I am one who reincarnated and is aware of my process. I am one who returned to this particular time to be a light worker, and I'm aware of it. There's many light workers who do the same thing but aren't necessarily aware of it, and it's not better or worse, it's just where we all are. And so I my point is, from a young age, I walked as a light worker and an awakened one. And when I was younger, these topics were taboo. They were sometimes categorized themselves as satanic, demonic, Wiccan, various things that they truly aren't. It was just a part of the gross effort to suppress a being from stepping into awareness of their higher self. So, I knew that, kept it to myself, and rapidly I'm finding. Everybody around me is having these conversations, and while they may not understand all of it, it's wonderful that it's happening at such an accelerated rate. And it makes sense if you understand metaphysics and mathematics, like supreme divine mathematics, and how things are compounding in nature. They catch on like wildfire, especially kind of like things can snowball out of control, or they can also snowball into control very quickly. So it's like, as soon as you surrender and you start going up, you find that you can just keep going up if you work out any beliefs that you have contrary to that. So I love seeing it, and I honor and respect that I may understand things differently from other people, but the goal is joy. The goal is evolving, is becoming more, contributing to the elevation of humanity as a whole. And any man's way to doing that is to be honored and loved the same way that I believe the divine mother and father, or whatever creator, as I believe it to be, would. So it's kind of, I have the saying where I don't love my 10th grader any more than I love my kindergartner. I just respect that we're all in a different place. So this new wave, there's different understandings of what one would call woke. I would call some people politically woke, or spiritually woke, or different types of woke, and it kind of depends on where a person is talking about it, but it doesn't matter. What does matter is that the spark is getting is really igniting the thing within humanity, on a case-to-case, person-to-person basis, that says, hey, I am more than what I've been taught that I am. I am loved. I am love. I am powerful. I am power. I am, all of the things that we are as beings, and those are the things that are going to help us transcend uh, the tragedies and the pains of the history of humanity, and renew it and restore it. So I'm a believer in the Great Ascension, and I believe a lot of religious people would kind of liken it to what they would call is a period of or the rapture. But regardless of how a person understands, there has been, this deep seated in your being knowing that, as people, regardless of how many people don't join the wave, it doesn't matter, because as others do, one of those beings who's connected to their higher power out outpowers millions who are disconnected. They then become a light worker and shine the way for the others. So of course, to answer your question, I'm excited about it, regardless of if it's not the way that I do my light work. It doesn't matter. A person's only responsibility is to their selves and their higher selves, and then they get to take on the task of spreading that love. So I'm just perfectly content with observing others around me, only at those stages, so I'm happy about it.
That's a great one. I'm definitely excited. I mean, personally, as soon as I realized that that wave was on its way, I was content at just sitting and watching the outcome. And then as soon as it hit, it was even better than I hoped for. So yeah, that I agree with you.
Yeah, I agree. It's phenomenal. It's a bigger deal than I expected, and it happened sooner and faster than I expected. So it's, a lot of people are scared and not understanding as they're stepping into their awakening, because there's a great deal of shedding that can have to accompany that, while they're, going through their own personal letting go of the things that no longer serve them.
Right.
But it's really an exciting time, even though it appears to be a scary time. That it's a necessary part of the purge. It's the way, it's the process. It can be trusted. Everybody will see in time, those who are willing to just still their mind and be in their heart space, and just, soak in their higher selves in a different way, maybe than they've been doing, if they are instead entertaining the outside world.
I love listening to your voice when you're really uh just tuned in, and hearing you engage with people. Truth has been so much different than when we're talking. Does that make sense?
Probably, yeah, because we have a person.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when we're talking, I almost, just listening to you has been so much, like I've gotten so much more. Not that I don't get it from you when we're speaking, when we're dialoguing, but listening to you engage with Neo, who, like I told you, he's incredible in his own right, very
Yes.
very aware, very woke. I love what you said about different levels of being different levels of being woke, and I never really considered it that way. It's like, how I am. I'm very much like all or nothing. Like either it is or it isn't.
Yeah.
But I love how you put it in that and you put it very simply. And I think, I saw exactly what Neo said in regards to that. So without further ado, it's time for our top 5 at 5. You ready, sis?
Yes.
All right, get ready, y'all. Okay, so top 5 at 5. Number 5. This is a really fun question for me, and I am testing your memory. So let me know. Do you remember the song that was playing on our last ride together when I was in Miami? And I said, that song came out when I was in the last time I was in Atlanta, and now that was playing on our last ride. It was so incredible to me because I hadn't heard that song in years.
Yes, I do. The title of it I can't remember, but I'm hearing it in my head. It was an Usher song. I don't know whether it was
It was
Confessions.
Climax. Yes.
Climax.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
True. I did not think you were gonna remember that. Your memory is impeccable, girl. It was
Sometimes.
Climax. Hey, JJ. Hey, girl. Okay, so wow. I'm kind of floored now. I'm wishing I would have saved that for last because I'm like, now these are going to be too easy. So one of your children, you know, to me, I think that she is literally there. Oh, I gave it away by saying that. I think they're really there with having your that they're able to read, they're able to speak without saying a word. Yes.
Naya.
Why does she have it so much, you think, stronger than your other children?
Well, we're all, like I was saying, we all
It's
are
different levels.
we're all in different places in our journey. So it just happens
Mm-hmm.
to be who she is and where she is, just like it is who they are and where they are. So it's yeah, I think it's just that. I don't believe it is a DNA hereditary thing. I don't believe
no. Oh my gosh, because let me tell you, her facials are like yours times 10.
Yeah, well, she does look like me, but I think the spiritual aspect goes much farther than the I mean, what is one lifetime in comparison to all of eternity, all of who she is? So it's like she comes with all of that, and perhaps some of the DNA was in her favor, but I believe anybody can cultivate their gifts. They can ask to be shown them if they don't even know what they are, believe they have any. We all have them. Even just being yourself, you're the only you, and that's a gift. Nobody has your perspective. So she just happens to have it, and she definitely does. She
definitely does. Do you think she trusts it more than everyone else?
I think she is. It may be that she trusts it. It may be she's more in tune with it. But I think it's just she's true to her essence, and she's just one who tunes more into the ethers than her siblings, and she just seems to get it. And I was the same way when I was a kid.
She does. When I tell you she gets it, she gets it. The way she can communicate with her expressions, with her energy is like, it's like, whoa. I told you about that time when, she was like apologizing because she couldn't leave the line to hug me at school.
Yeah.
And I let her know with my emotions, it was okay. That she couldn't leave the line. And we just had this whole dialogue without ever saying a word. Yeah. And I remember I just called you and I'm like, that was super powerful. That was super powerful.
There may or may not be people who believe in being psychic abilities, but it is proven. And or even, what is it when people are kind of reading each other's minds? For me, it's just all energy,
like telekinetic.
Yes. So the research that I've done was convincing enough for me to believe in it. And we've all, I think, had our experiences where you guys are so much on the same wavelength that the information is there for whoever gets it, and sometimes two people get the same message, and that's what I think is what's going on. So there's been that's kind of her strengths, is she's got this kind of really tuned in ability to be psychic. For a quick example, once we were leaving a family member's house after a whole summer of not seeing them, and we were taking our ride, our long journey back down here. And as we're passing the bridge by their house, my phone's ringing because her shoes were left there, and it's with the person who we're gonna go by her house anyway. The shoes have been there all month, and my cousin's calling me to let me know to pick up my daughter's shoes. And as the phone's ringing, my daughter says it before I pick up the phone. She just says, "Mom, we got to go get the shoes." And she does stuff like this all the time, and I'm like, this kid's just
she does.
She's so tuned in. She's so tuned in.
She's a crafty one. She does.
Yeah. It's amazing. They're here to lead the way, I believe. The kids are really...
No, the youth definitely are. That's why, I found myself just working with youth more and more the older that I've gotten, which to me makes no sense. that like the older that I get, the more drawn I am to work with youth. And I'm like, that's not really the way I want it to be, but that's just how it's happened.
Yeah.
So, oh my gosh, this is one of my favorite questions. You are a great cook at a lot of things. What's your favorite thing to cook?
Favorite thing to cook. Well, you know, truth be told, I don't enjoy cooking. I love serving people. So I enjoy the part where they're just eating it and sucking on their fingers. But the whole cooking thing, I don't particularly enjoy. But if I had to, like, that's a joy. I can tell when you're in the kitchen, you're literally in the zone. You're
I love
smiling.
it. I do.
Yeah, and it's beautiful. And I see it gets infused to the food. I like have to check myself and make sure I'm keeping that love ingredient there because I'd rather be doing other things. But I would have to say maybe stuffed mushrooms, just because is even though it takes longer than I
Oh,
wish.
they're really good. And they're really good.
Thank you. It takes longer than I would like, but there's something kind of special about sharing it with people because people haven't had it. So I guess I can find a way to have, excitement through that process.
I literally had to leave your house earlier than expected because I was for sure I was going to just eat like every one of them. And like you had to keep making more. And I'm like, I got to get out of here because they were so good.
Yeah,
and they're just like every one tastes better than the last. That's what kept like surprising me.
Well,
like the little pops.
Yes.
Everyone tastes better than the last one that I had. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm eating too many of these. I gotta go.
Well, yeah, that's like those ooey gooeys you make. We're missing those.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait to make them again. I cannot wait to make them for you guys because literally you were the first family that taste tested those for me outside of my kids, and they're you know how they are. I'm like, they're just gonna love anything that is sweet. But because I'm not a baker, the way you feel about cooking, I don't like baking. And so the fact that, your son and Cyrus love them, I was like, okay, I've got a winner here, that it became a request. I was like, oh, this is awesome. This is really awesome because I don't like baking, but thank you. Number 2, you have one of the most angelic singing voices I've honestly ever heard outside of professional. And, I was a booking agent. Tell me what are some reasons that you think you just didn't go into singing full out?
So I came from a family of professional musicians. My grandfather is a celebrity, as you know, and I have some other family members. So if you asked the 6-year-old me, the 15-year-old me, what I was going to do, there was never a doubt in my mind I'm going to sing. I love the stage loved me. I love the audience and everything about it. Still to this day is something that's a joy for me. What had happened to me was I was lucky enough to be in a very supportive family who had always taken me to my shows and to auditions and different things. And at one point, I was at an audition. It was actually, my mother had also put me into modeling because she had wanted us to be more confident. She struggled with confidence. And so we didn't have that interest. But through the modeling agency, we had agents who would do talent seeking. And it was one of those particular events where there were some high-end people within the music industry who were just kind of scouting new talent. So I had a personal experience with them in a private room, and I was pretty young and impressionable. And I, for the first time ever, froze up and couldn't perform. And it was because the way that this man and woman treated me, it was suddenly, like, for one of the first times ever that I wasn't treated with the respect of being a child, or the understanding, or the kindness and compassion that a child should be treated with. And I was just treated like an adult, but more so like something that wasn't a being and was just a tool or a commodity. And I was being trained at the same time in the modeling industry that if to consider yourself just a hanger. You're no longer a human being. You are a hanger, and you do what we say. If we say you're going to cut your hair off bald, that's what you're going to do, or you're not getting paid. And it was so against everything, you know. And I didn't want to be a model anyway, but I started to realize that I was going to run into those same problems in the other industry.
Absolutely.
Now, I could have manifested a different outcome, but that was at the time what happened that made me really put the brakes on it and decide right then and there. I was over it. Now, more recently in my life, I've come full circle to it, but you know, and return to music. But that's the background on, you know, I abruptly just lost interest. My inner child knew it wasn't right. And I'm really grateful now looking at a lot of what is being revealed that goes on behind doors in those industries. And now is the new wave of independent artistry where I am free to cut the middleman out and not have
Absolutely.
those problems. So yeah, so it worked out well again with me following my instincts, even though it was against my biggest passion. I still was guided and followed that guidance, even though I didn't like that idea and it hurt me deep down to suppress a joy. Who knows what might have happened had I not listened to that red flag.
This is so true. Listen, one of our lighters just said I'm sorry, the life of King Wage is his name, but the entertainment industry is demonic if you're deep in it. And it's so true. As you know, I also had a background in entertainment industry. I was a publicist, a booking agent, and I mean, you know, you've known me for some years, and I've never been a promiscuous person. I've never been a, you know, kind of just a salacious being. I like reading, I like writing. But I tell you, there is a spirit that's in that entertainment industry because, and I don't want to get into, you know, debates with, oh, you should be stronger, have a stronger mind, because I really hate when I'm having these type of conversations and you're talking to people that just don't realize that it is such a strong spiritual, just not of light
Right.
that, you know, there were so many things that were happening within the industry that was just deemed as normal,
Right.
that just really that were not, but because you're in it every day, you started to treat it as such. So hey, peace brother Guy, absolutely welcome. And so yeah, I really honestly but you're right, everything happens for a reason. But I tell you truth, you have such an amazing voice. I mean, I've seen you cover everybody from Sade to Alicia Keys. You know, it blows my mind how I'm just thinking, like, why isn't this woman like on the radio like all the time? It's amazing that people don't realize when they are in such a state with their there's such a state where they are so in that field, that industry, they're not seeing us, they're not seeing people for being human beings. They're seeing you as, right, like as you said, you're looked at as a tool. You looked at as a tool.
Yeah.
So number one, drum roll, our last question. Oh my gosh, this has been so fun. I told you, I said, I promise you the hour flies. It really does. And you know, we haven't caught up in a long time. So, you know, you are aware of many hats, no pun intended, because your avatar, you're wearing a hat. Your dream life, which you're already manifested. I've seen it happen. You know, listen, guys, glowers, lighters, listen, no lie. Truth and I were talking in the summertime, about, you know, hey, you know, we got to get these houses, we got to get this land, we got to get this property. We're talking. I came over her house one time for, you know, it's real when you can go over to another person's house for a slumber party, like as a grown being, like that's just like unheard of. But like completely, my family would go over to her family's home. We would slumber party. And, you know, we were like talking about getting these vision boards together, making these vision boards. And she said, literally, she said, my place is small, but I'm gonna be in a big house soon. I'm gonna be in a big house, and so I'm gonna do it. She said we'll do a vision board workshop when I get to my new house. And I was like, yeah, we're gonna plan for this for like maybe in a few months out. And she was like, no, 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 it'll be soon, it'll be soon. And we were talking about this in the summer, and then we spent Thanksgiving together, and then Christmas, of course, was shortly after. And then like right after that, like she literally moves into like this dream home, and not moves into, but purchases this dream home. And I just could not believe how, I said, you know what, that was so powerful, just with us, always agreeing for each other, that support, there's nothing more powerful than that. So I'm posing this question. The last question is, give me an example of a time where something that incredible, you've touched and agreed with a person, and that's something that has manifested for them,
Sure. So, there's a woman in the internet marketing space who now currently helps other women to understand how to become internet millionaires for anybody who aspires to do that. Her name is Keisha Bass. And her and I, back in 2013, both worked for different companies within the internet marketing arena. I didn't know her personally or well. We live in two different parts of the country, but we would be in the same circles, and we were, we both had that same vision of financial freedom, time freedom, making 6 and 7 figures so that we could not just pamper ourselves, but be a more well-equipped light worker for all of the people that encounter us in life. So we had, really grand purposes for all of our dreams. Not that that's necessary. You can just want it because you want it, and you're worthy because you are. But that was our commonality. So there was a particular day when we were at work, online, of course, and she announced to everyone, which was very unlike her, that she was going to throw in the towel. She was just going to keep her corporate job and give up on her dream of working at home and making it in the online business. So something, I have these, I am what some understand to be a channeler. We all really are to different degrees, but I have my gifts, as we all have gifts, are vocal. Like you said, it is with the singing, which I've literally done since I could speak. And as I got older, I started to realize that I have the ability to articulate this channeled information. I kind of elevate my being, step outside myself, and I just let the love pour through. So I was called to do this for Keisha one day. I reached out to her. I sent in her inbox and I said, hey, I've got a message for you if you're willing to receive it. So she said yes. And I said, can I call you? And she said yes. I call her. I speak to her on the phone for about an hour. And I often describe my set of vocal gifts as I have the ability to speak life into a being, to hold the vision that they may be wavering in for themselves, to talk love and life and light into another person, to be that kind of good conscience on their shoulder, to rewrite the narrative that they're having in their inner dialogue. So I do this for her. I channel this message. She literally just listens for 1 full hour as I can't barely keep up with the message as it's coming through me. So that happens, and immediately after, she implemented everything that was meant for her. It was a lot of just uplifting words about how she's powerful and she creates reality, and she doesn't have to give up. She has to stop believing in certain things and start believing in other things, and everything that she needed to hear at that particular time. Soon after, she made her first $10,000 online, and very soon after, she was cashing in 6-figure checks on stage within these various direct sales companies she worked in. So she now is on her own and runs her own various businesses, from teaching people how to build wealth, drop shipping with Amazon and other companies, and YouTubing, various other things. But again, all within the internet space. She works from home. I don't know if she's hit her 7 figures, but I'd be surprised if she hasn't by now. I've watched this happen for countless people, some because they have come in contact with me, others because they're just on the same journey and I'm aware of them. I see it all the time. But Keisha Bass is an example. I encourage you guys to look her up and see what it is that happens to somebody when they're willing to take the love that God's sending them through whatever vessel it's coming through. Not, not just me.
Truth, when I tell you that was such a mic drop moment, I literally got chills. I literally got chills. And that's why, every time that we got together, every time that whatever we did, whether we ate together, whether we, just kind of like ran into each other and had a long conversation, whether, you may have seen me and I was headed back to the apartment and you would pick me up and we would have a good chat. I always felt so much light, so much energy. And I just really felt like, you believed in me. And I still have, I'm almost done with the journal you gave me as my glowing away present. And of course, I love this scripture and I highlighted the scripture as soon as I got the journal, but it said, let your request be known unto God. That's Philippians 4:6. And I just want to, again, thank you for joining us today. Thank you for being on the show. Do you want me to share any information? If anyone wants to reach out to you, how can they find you? How can they speak with you, have a consultation or a conversation? Because I know, that's kind of more how you work. Everything is very organic. That's what I've always loved about you too. Everything was very organic. So please, if you have any information you want me to drop into the chat, let me know so I can make sure that people have access to you or have some way to get in touch with you if they want to follow up with anything.
Sure. So Truth is the current nickname that I was very lovingly given by some people that I've helped in the past when they just felt that I helped them find their way to their truth, not to enforce my own truth on others, but to help nudge them towards their own truth. So it was a really loving nickname given to me that I do actually use in my day-to-day life, in the real world with people. However, Facebook will not let me change my name that is my family given name. So I can be most easily reached on Facebook, not under Truth, but under Teresia Maria. And if anybody feels called to, I'm an open book. This is how I give my gratitude back to the universe. I love helping people shift. Not only because I know how much it's helping the entire collective, but because one person matters. That difference it makes for that one person is a big deal. It was a big deal when I needed it, and somebody did it for me. So, if anybody's interested, feel free to message me on Messenger. If you're somebody who doesn't use those resources, just shoot Courtney a message, and I'm more than happy for anybody that is coming from this particular following to text me. She's got my personal text. My service is completely free of charge. There are many others who I happily pay thousands of dollars for some of the content that I share freely. So not that
I can attest to that.
Yes.
I can definitely attest to that. Truth is absolutely right, guys. I literally looked into, because it's not so much of the fact that I was interested in going to another worker, but I looked into light workers, energy workers, manifesting consultants, and manifestation consultants, just because I wanted to know what she was doing with me, what this was valued at. And most light workers, for a vision board workshop. Now we used to do this at, her house. We would get the kids together, we would get the poster boards, we would get the magazines. So people charge for this, and they charge $135 an hour to cut out pictures.
Yeah.
To manifest, to speak over words.
Yes. And it's and I've literally spent thousands on various workshops, and it's absolutely worth every dime once you come to understand money as a neutral energy, and that you can charge it to be good or bad. Things get a lot easier. So it's worth it. I don't mean to undermine those who charge. That's their passion and what they decide to charge from. And it's been plenty of people have told me, hey, you should charge. You're giving your energy out, and you should be reciprocating. And I am getting a reciprocal gratitude, and that gets me my own personal form of high or payment. So but it's typically something that you need to be willing to invest into if you're going to work one-on-one with a person. So or even courses, there are people who sell this content in courses, but the big value in working one-on-one with somebody is the synergy. There's an energetic alchemy that's happening when it's no different. Everybody's doing it all day long. It's just that I have taken the time to understand it. So it's no different though. Like when you spend the day with somebody who is loving in nature, you walk away feeling better. When you spend time with somebody who is negative in nature, you walk away feeling drained, unless you're very good at getting yourself out of that situation. But you really wouldn't even be in that situation in the first place if there wasn't a part of you that magnetically was drawn to it, which could be for a good reason. That's not a bad thing. But yeah, so that's I guess all I have to say about that.
Well, we want to thank you again so much for giving us the light and working with us today. Thank you so much, Truth. You all want to definitely head over to our next panelist having his show. Screen Learning is having an incredible show that is coming on right now after we wrap up here. We want to thank everyone for gracing the channel today, gracing the stream, making sure you were liking it up. Have my number one moderator in the game, in the building, Miss Diamond Princess. Thank you so much. She will be a guest this Friday on F-Bomb Friday. Make sure you tune in. We had a promotion today, so at the very next stream, Brother CER Senior will be a moderator. So congratulations and welcome to the Wrench gang. Okay. Brother Guy, thank you so much. Always a pleasure. Brother Bakari, thank you so much for gracing us. Miss 80, don't know if you're still here, but absolutely appreciate you. Miss Jen J, absolutely welcome. Thank you so much for coming on in. And you all want to definitely let you know tonight at 7 o'clock, I'm putting back on that journalism hat, y'all. I'm putting back on that publicist hat, and I am glowing in. I have literally turned down 3 requests for an interview or for assistance on a panel today because I wanted to make sure that Truth got all of the respect that she deserved, and I didn't want to have to move this time back. But I said, you know what, since people are asking about my opinion about Gillum, because as you all know, I went to school with both RJ and Andrew Gillum. We're going to look at this from a prism perspective. We're looking at it from a different way. Do not think that you're going to come into the conversation with the typical, because it's not going to be that. We got to glow up. We got to highlight some things, guys. So at 7 p.m., join me back on this live, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tonight. Join us back here if you want to weigh in, if you want to hear the prison perspective that I have been really kind of ears to the street, understanding and, realizing what's being highlighted in this whole Gillum fallout or this Gillum announcement. So at any rate, guys, thank you so much for coming in, for gracing the chat, for gracing the room. And you guys, take this energy into the rest of the night, but also the week. But whatever you do, in all that you do, you know what to do. Glow